If you can, just don't take it, because it's a total waste. Hi, I'm Emily. I'm a first-year PhD student at Caltech Chemistry. This is everything you need to apply for a PhD. Let's jump right into it. Typically, you would need 3 things: scores, essays, and letters of recommendations. For scores, first you would need your GPA, which is your undergrad grade. A lot of people are saying that your GPA is gradually losing importance because I've seen a lot of people share tips on how to save a low GPA in your application. So if you don't have a low GPA, then you wouldn't have to save it, right? The majority of people I find at Caltech, at least, did have pretty good GPAs. So if you're still in the first couple years of your undergrads, please do work hard and try to get a good GPA. I think that would make everything a lot easier. You do need an undergrad degree to be able to apply for a PhD. It's okay if you're still in your last year. And second, if you didn't do your undergrads in English, like me, I did my undergrads in Taiwan, so I had to show my language proficiency. The 2 tests that are recognized are TOEFL and IELTS. Usually if you apply for American schools, you would choose TOEFL and you'd choose IELTS for European schools. The main difference is that TOEFL has American English and it's all internet-based, so you're just talking to the computer all the time. And IELTS is more British English. You don't get points taken off for using American English, but all the questions are in British English. Also, for the speaking part, there's an actual person asking you questions. So some people will choose IELTS because they don't like talking to the computer, and I guess that also makes sense. And the third one is the GRE or GMAT. Typically for the PhD, it's the GRE. Basically, a logic, vocabulary, and math test. If you can, just don't take it, because it is so time-consuming, and a lot of studies have shown that it has no correlation to your success in grad school, but instead it's correlated to how wealthy you are or how resourceful your family is. A lot of schools have gotten rid of the GRE after COVID. For most of the programs that I applied for the GRE requirements, they just said no, not required, or do not send your GRE score. And I think that's good. I remember that UCLA chemistry required GRE subject, which is like a chemistry GRE test. I just didn't apply. And I think that's what you guys should do as well. If only one school needs you to take an extra test that's super time consuming and super expensive too, it's like $200 each, just apply to other schools if you have the choice, unless that one school is your dream school. If possible, don't take the GRE. Next we have essays. Essays, I think, is the most fun part of PhD application. Typically, we would have 2 kinds of essays. We'd have the personal statement and the statement of purpose. The personal statement is really trying to answer, who are you? So who are you as a person? You can think of it as an interesting version of your self-introduction, which I think is kind of hard. You really want to organize all your experiences, mostly after college, kind of connect the experiences to show your resilience, your skills, and your ability to learn stuff. Some typical questions you want to answer is, what makes you you? What challenges have you overcome? What is your dream? The second essay is the statement of purpose. That's really trying to answer, who are you as a researcher? This is a lot more academically focused and much less storytelling. You're trying to convince them that you can be a successful PhD student and potentially a successful researcher. You would go over your research experiences. You must have research experience to go to grad school. You would cover your academic interests and connect your different research experiences to justify your interests, and go on to share what you want to do in the future. If you want to be a professor, then it's good to include that too. The questions you're trying to answer here: how have your experiences prepared you for grad school? What are your research interests? What do you want to work on? And what are your long-term academic goals? It's really trying to connect where you are now and where you want to be, and why graduate school would rationally fit in between, and why the PhD can help you achieve your goals. Some schools will also have diversity statements and additional information sections. That's pretty similar to the personal statement, where you can share your struggles and potentially justify why you didn't do so well at a particular stage, if you went through hardships and stuff, like if you got into a major accident that prevented you from going to school, or something happened in your family. At least as a non-English native speaker, I think it's pretty common to go through 10 versions of your essays, because it's not going to be perfect the first time. And even content-wise, there's a lot of tweaks that can be made to make it better. I'm super thankful for all the people that helped during my application. Last, we have the letters of recommendation. Typically for a PhD application, you would need 3, and these should ideally be people that know you very well and have worked with you. If you've worked in the lab with a professor, then they would be the ideal person to write you a recommendation. If you have 3 research experiences, then you get 3 recommendations. But that's really hard. It's okay if you only have like 1 or 2 from research supervisors. Also, if you did an internship, your boss can also write you a recommendation. And then it's also pretty common to have course professors write you a recommendation. And I'd say ideally you should have done a project in that course. You shouldn't just take tests, because otherwise they can only say, oh, you got an A+. And that's a pretty weak recommendation. With recommendations, it's really important to be concrete and to mention specifically why they think you're a good candidate to go to grad school. Overall, I think the PhD application is really lengthy, but really interesting as well. My applications were all due December 1st, the year before. I got my results end of December to mid-January. Then I did my interviews like end of January. I was in Korea then, oh my god. I got my final results mid-February. Then I started having my grad school visits. That was really fun. Basically, the schools will fund you to visit their schools. That's all for today. If there's anything you want to know about grad school application, please comment below. Yay!